All right, back to this. I'm gonna slap it on that side, turn it to the opposite side, and do the same thing. Okay, so you should have a flat side on both sides of the coil, okay? All right, now you have to have a bucket of water here. You also need, you will eventually need slip, a bat, okay, to lay the handle on, needle tool, and your cheater tool, like I said before. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this water over here. Now you can do this right at the sink, but often people will just take a bucket of water and do it that way. Okay, now your hand, if you look at your hand, it has this curve right here, which I call the web, okay? And then right here on your finger is nice and straight. So this is straight, curved, straight. So when we are pulling the handle, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second, we always pull with the web of our hand, right here, on the rounded side. We never put the web on the flat side, so don't do it this way, okay? So it's like this, and then pulling down, okay? So that's the flat side. There's our other flat side. So we'll be doing it this way, okay? And pulling down toward the tip. When you pull, you want a nice consistent pressure. Don't squeeze too hard. Just allow your hand to flow through. Switch your hand and your wrist to the opposite side, and the same way. The web goes on the rounded side, okay? So let me show you what that looks like. My hand wet, get the coil wet. And up here, up at the top, that'll remain dry so I can hold on to it good. I'm not going to be using that part of the handle. So it's like this, turn, and here, and turn, back and forth. See how I'm back and forth. So keep the clay wet. You have to keep the clay wet. In fact, I dip my hand in water every other pull, so you can still see the flat side, rounded side. So rounded side, flat sides. So I'm going to put my hand in water, web on the rounded side, and pull down. Twist my wrist so my hand, the web can go on the opposite side, and there we go, back and forth. Keep the clay wet, back and forth, back and forth. Don't squeeze too hard. I just allow my hand to just kind of slip over the surface, okay? What is the whole point of all this? It's to smooth out the surface of the clay or the coil and to elongate it somewhat. Okay, so here, and then here, into water. Here, and then here. My web of my hand never goes on the flat side, so I've got to tilt and rotate that coil back and forth. Here and here. It takes practice doing this to get good at it. I've been doing them quite a while, and I still can mess up. So, but if you keep your hand wet and you start off with a great coil, you can't go wrong. So that's getting really pretty now. Okay, kind of liking that. So I'm going to keep going till I'm really happy, tilting back and forth, keeping my clay wet. Okay, I think that is done. Okay, put my water to the side here. Grab my bat. Okay, Now, the next step is really important too. It's creating a channel, okay? A channel is kind of it's a scoop mark on the handle, and it goes to the outside of the handle. So what you do is you're going to take your thumb, grab onto the handle here, the coil, and put your thumb, see how my hand is wrapped all the way around, put your thumb right there, straight up and down, on the flat side, and pull through. Pull through. Pull through. Don't push too hard. Keep your clay wet, and it starts to get that little scoop, but it's a little decorative element to the handle. A little funny thing there, something I picked up. Ooh, don't like that. It's a piece of high fire in there. Don't want to get high fire. You got to have a clean surface when you do this, because it will pick up little anomalies. So, all right. I keep going till I've established kind of a scoop in the clay. It doesn't have to be really deep, about 1/8 of an inch deep. The other side remains the same. This is a decoration, so it goes on the outside of the handle, so it will go on the outside, okay? So I'm just really, it's about done there. Okay, now I'm going to take my clay, I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to lay it on my bat in the shape of an ear, okay? So it kind of looks like an ear. Now, you have to make a judgment on how long you're going to need the handle for the mug. It's better to cut it a little bit longer at first and then kind of trim away. So I'm going to get rid of this big fat hunk part. I'm guessing here, we're looking at the distance here, probably this is what I need. Now, when you place it like an ear-like shape, you're going to take your needle tool, you're going to hold it at an angle, okay? See how I rest it right up against that fat part of the pull handle part, okay? I'm going to cut away this part. So I'm deciding how long to make it, but notice the angle of the cut I'm going to make, okay? Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle tool and I'm going to cut all the way through. I always say point the point toward the point. Point the point toward the point. Lay it up against here and you can't go wrong. So I'm going to push down. Get rid of this. This can go back into your clay bag. It's still good clay. So wad that up. Okay, I've created a bevel cut. Okay, still looks like an ear. Okay, see that angle? That's important. Why is that so important? Because you want your handle, when you attach it, you want it to go up, okay, up on the mug, not down. If you cut it going the opposite way, the bevel will force the handle down this way, and you don't want that. You want it to come up gracefully and attach to the opposite side. Okay, so normally I would allow this to dry out a little bit before I attach it, but because of time constraints in the filming of this, I'm just going to go ahead. This clay is a little bit on the firmer side, so I'm going to go ahead and attach it. So I'm going to grab my mug. I always attach my mug on a side that is the seam. Do you have to do that? No, I'm trying to find my seam. It's somewhere. I think it's over here. Because usually your seam is not your prettier side, so it kind of holds, kind of hides the the imperfections there. So I'm going to take my mug here, and I'm going to dip in a little water, and I'm going to score this. Score all here, like that. About the size of the end of that, okay? And then also down here. Now, when I attach my handle, I never want the tip of my handle to go all the way down to the bottom, because then I can't glaze the bottom of that tip. And I'm going to show you a little extra cool thing. So, okay, so something like that. Get some slip out. I'm going to score the handle also. So I'm going to take my score there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a curly cue here on the end. So I will be curling this up like this, which makes it really pretty. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to figure out whereabouts I want to attach it, probably in this area. So up here, because I'm going to roll this part of the handle. So that should work. Get some slip, put it on here. Okay. I'm going to take my handle, and like I said, you're better to wait a day, covered in plastic, so it gets a little more leather hard. Remember that this has to be the same hydration as this. This clay is pretty soft still, so I think I'm okay, but this is pretty loose, pretty wet still, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to hold it like that. See how the channel is on the outside, and the handle goes up, okay, up and around. So I'm going to take it now and push down right in the middle of that and kind of swipe it down so it attaches like that, and start to blend it. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Now, this isn't fully attached. So I want to make sure I put a little skinny coil. That's what I always do, because it will tend to want to crack away. So before I attach that real quickly, I'm going to make sure I put a little tiny coil in there and add more a little bit later, and take my needle tool, kind of fashion it in there. And blend it so it sticks. So that handle's not going to come off. I'm going to put some more around here too. It's good to have your wood tool with you too for blending. All right, now I'm going to take this part of my handle, okay, right there. Get some slip on there. Okay. And I'm going to take it, and I'm going to make sure it's lined up. So this is lined up with this. You don't want it all wonky and tilted to the side, so you want to make sure it's a straight line. So I'm coming over here, adjusting that. Once I have it kind of placed where I want it, I'm going to push down here. Now my hand is in the inside, supporting where I'm pushing. So, okay, push there. Then take this and curl this up. So you get this nice little curly cue. See how that is? Okay. Now, you also want to make sure you put a little skinny coil around here so that does not detach, because clay is weird. It tends to want to straighten out. So, meaning this handle, it remembers when it was straight and long. So it will tend to want to go back to that straight position. So I have to really make sure that this is forced down and I get a coil all the way around, okay? So I'm going to take that little piece of coil here, roll it in my fingertips, and then I'm going to jam it first in here. And all the way around. Now I don't want to change the design by adding a big blob there, so I have to be careful. Use this even, so that I still have this pretty, you know, this little accent shape here. The little curly Q still shows up. Often wet my coils just because they spread easier. But I'm going to jam that thing in there. This little skewer works well for that too. So here we go. Get that all secured in there. Okay. So we don't have a handle. That rips off. A hair. Okay, so that's basically it. Make sure that it's attached and you don't have a lump here. You have a coil all the way around your shape of the handle, okay? Okay, so, and then any extra overscore, make sure you get rid of that. Adjust your handle. Notice how I didn't bring it all the way down to the bottom of my mug. That way I can glaze the bottom of this, okay? It won't stick to the kiln shell. So these instructions are for low fire, which is this, and high fire. The technique is the same. I think pulling a handle with high fire clay is a little bit easier, but all the basic steps are the same. So, alrighty, I'm gonna get this all blended and beautiful. Make sure I have a coil all the way around here. All right, liking it. And that is a pulled handle, okay? Now, one thing about the top of the handle here, don't make it come up too high. It makes it really hard to hold on to once it's fully fired. So I always say the inside here should be no higher than the lip, okay? So right here should be not any higher than the lip here, okay? And also the distance between here and here, you don't want it way out here, because once you get liquid in there, it's really hard to hold when it's way out here. So you don't want to, you know, have your handle too far away from your mug, okay? And keep it in that beautiful ear-like shape. All right? And that is it.